There is a moment, often quiet, often unsettling, when you realize that the life you are living was built on ideas you never consciously chose. Beliefs inherited before you could question them. Rules absorbed before you could examine them. Definitions of success, failure, strength, worth, handed down like heirlooms, heavy, unquestioned, and quietly limiting. You move forward, yet something resists. You work harder, yet progress feels shallow. You change habits, yet the same patterns return. The Stoics understood this tension. They knew that growth is not only about learning more, but about unlearning what no longer serves reality. Because a mind filled with outdated beliefs cannot move freely in a changing world. Authentic growth begins the moment you dare to dismantle the mental structures that once protected you, but now confine you. Section 1. Why unlearning is harder than learning. Learning feels constructive. Unlearning feels dangerous. Learning adds, unlearning removes, and removal threatens identity. Many beliefs were formed during moments of vulnerability, to feel safe, to belong, to survive. Ideas like, I must always be strong. My worth comes from achievement. If I relax, I'll fall behind. This is just how I am. These beliefs once served a purpose. They offered structure when you had none. But Marcus Aurelius warned that the mind must remain flexible, because clinging to old judgments is how wisdom decays into habit. What once protected you may now be quietly limiting you. Section 2. Stoic wisdom and the courage to question. The Stoics were radical not because they rejected tradition, but because they refused to obey it blindly. Epictetus taught that freedom begins when we examine the beliefs governing our reactions. Seneca warned that most people live trapped, not by circumstance, but by unexamined assumptions. And Marcus Aurelius constantly questioned his own thoughts, writing not to impress others, but to dismantle his own blind spots. To live wisely was to ask, again and again, is this belief aligned with reality or merely familiar? Unlearning is not rebellion, it is refinement. It is the courage to admit that yesterday's conclusions may not survive today's understanding. Section 3. Modern examples of obsolete beliefs. Productivity as self-worth. You learned early that rest must be earned, that slowing down is weakness, that your value rises only through output. This belief may have fueled success, but it also breeds burnout. Unlearning here means recognizing a Stoic truth. You are valuable by nature, not by performance. Effort remains important, but desperation dissolves. Emotional suppression as strength. You were taught that feeling deeply is dangerous, that emotion clouds judgment, that silence equals control. But Stoicism never taught repression. It taught discernment. Unlearning this belief allows emotion to arise without letting it rule. Strength becomes measured, not rigid. Approval as safety. You learn to adapt to expectations, to shape yourself to be accepted. At first, this protected connection. Over time, it eroded authenticity. Unlearning approval dependence restores inner authority. You no longer ask, who must I be to belong? You ask, who am I when no one is watching? The process of conscious unlearning. Unlearning is not an event. It is a disciplined practice. Identify beliefs that feel heavy. Pay attention to thoughts that produce tension, guilt, or fear. These are often outdated frameworks resisting reality. Trace their origin. Ask, when did I learn this, and why? Understanding origin reduces attachment. Test them against reality. Do they still hold true? Or are they remnants of a past context? Nature changes. Wisdom adapts. Replace rigidity with principles. The Stoics replaced fixed beliefs with guiding values. Reason, virtue, adaptability. Principles flex. Beliefs break. Practice patience with identity shift. Unlearning feels like disorientation. This is not failure. It is the nervous system recalibrating to a more truthful framework. Section 5. Authentic growth after unlearning. When obsolete beliefs fall away, something unexpected happens. You become lighter. Decisions feel cleaner. Motivation becomes internal. Confidence stops depending on performance or approval. You are no longer acting from inherited limitation, but from conscious alignment. Seneca believed that the wise person is always in the process of becoming, never fixed, never finished. Authenticity is not found, it is revealed. Once false layers are removed. The freedom of a clear mind. You do not need to become someone new. You need to remove what is no longer true. The Stoics understood that growth is subtractive before it is expansive. That clarity arrives not by accumulation, but by release. When you unlearn what is obsolete, you reclaim authorship of your inner world. And from that place, growth becomes natural, identity becomes grounded, and life aligns with who you actually are, not who you were taught to be. This is the art of unlearning. Not destruction, but liberation. Not loss, but truth reclaimed. And in that clarity, authentic growth finally begins.